Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you today? Ready for some new stories from Ask a Lawyer? Let's go to the first one, about OP's parents, who believed a stranger over their own son, and now are raising a child not related to them. Listen to the story to find out all the details, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I used to be a bit of a man W. I was a bartender while I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. Right around the time I decided on university, a woman I knew showed up at my parents' house looking for me. She has my daughter with her. My parents called me and told me I needed to come home and take care of my kid. I told them I knew for a fact I hadn't knocked anyone up. They didn't believe me. They chose to believe this stranger instead. They took her in, but she bailed and left the kid about a month later. She left the birth certificate so my parents were able to get custody. They've been raising her for 6 years now. I've avoided my parents for 6 years now. They used money they had saved for my education to pay for the kids' needs. My parents are getting closer to retirement, and they're still raising a child. They called me to tell me I needed to support my daughter. I said no. They said they would take me to court. I said go ahead, it's the only way you will get a cent from me. And they did. They sued me. Some fun facts they did not know that I did. 1. I never slept with that woman. 2. I wasn't in the country when the kid was conceived. I was working on a cruise ship. 3. The reason the mother didn't come after me for child support is because it's not my signature on the birth certificate. 4. Most importantly, I'm gay. Have never had any question that women are not for me. The last one is why I don't really communicate with my parents. They are religious wackos. I saw how they treated gay people while I was growing up, and I got out as soon as I could. Now they are stuck. They have a kid that they are doing their moral duty as good people to raise since I won't. My brother says that I should have been more explicit when I told them I knew it wasn't my kid. He says I'm an a-hole for tricking them. I said it wasn't my kid. OP's parents brought this on themselves for listening to a stranger instead of OP. They took on a kid who was not connected with OP or them and can now deal with it. OP said there was no possibility of the kid being his. His parents could have done a DNA test. They didn't even need OP there to do it. So now they have to live with it. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Chibi Sailor Mercury says, not the a-hole. They brought it upon themselves by having such a low opinion of you. They wouldn't believe you were telling the truth. And such a high opinion of a random stranger that they took in the kid without so much as asking for a DNA test. When you said, I know for a fact I didn't knock up anyone, why didn't they press to find out why you were so sure about it? Would have saved them some trouble. This is what they get for having faith in anyone but you. Not the a-hole. Navy Ghost 1942 says, not the a-hole. Why your parents would believe this random woman that showed up at their door with no further information is baffling to say the least. Your brother shouldn't be calling you an a-hole when you said flat out that it wasn't your kid. I don't know if your parents know you're gay, but if they knew, then why they took the kid in is beyond me. Dogs Reading Books says, not the a-hole. You told your parents that there's no way the kid is yours. They're the ones who decided to not believe you. They should have called the cops, CPS, instead of letting her stay with them and leaving the kid there. I want to say first off, I don't think there's anything wrong with not having children. I don't care at all if she has them or not, and I don't think anyone even needs a reason. It should be totally acceptable to just not want them. I have a stepdaughter who I will call Isabel. I married her dad when she was 13, and my bio daughter Claire was 12. Isabel clearly was not happy and wanted nothing to do with us. I struggled a lot because the more I tried with her, the angrier she got. But that was when I left her alone. I worried I was excluding her. Isabel and Claire hated each other, and I was constantly refereeing that. My husband saw very little problem with this and said it was just how she is. Isabel moved out at 18 and didn't come home for summers or vacations. She would talk to her dad on the phone but kept a huge distance. Claire got engaged recently, and we threw an engagement party. Isabel came because her dad guilted her, which was maybe not the best choice, but he's fed up by how much she avoids everyone. During the party, I heard Isabel talking to her mother-in-law. Isabel's husband is out of town and she demanded to have a +1. Isabel said that she wants kids, but is too scared to take the plunge, because what if she ever divorced her husband? She said she can't imagine it happening, but she knows if it did, she would not be okay with being single, and forcing a kid into a blended family is just wrong. She said she feels guilty even having kids if there's even a 1% possibility they could end up living with strangers. And then she told her mother-in-law that she felt like she never had a home or a family and couldn't wait to get out at 18. I just saw red because I did everything I could to make it feel like she had a family. And it seems insensitive to say she didn't have a home when thousands of kids actually don't have homes. I approached Isabel and said I heard what she said and I'm sorry she feels that way. But she isn't going to say that in our house when it is totally unfair. And if she really feels that way, maybe she should see someone because it isn't normal at her age. Isabel said she was leaving and stormed off, and my husband is furious and feels that I hurt his relationship with his daughter. OP pushed to have a relationship with her, and OP said it herself. The more OP pushed, the angrier she got. OP wanted for this blended family to be a family. OP and her husband chose to get married. OP's stepdaughter never wanted nor asked to be included in OP's family. OP invaded her life and her home when she wanted nothing to do with OP. OP is a stranger to her and always will be. The fact that OP married her father did not make OP an instant family where everybody loves everybody. She already had a family. She didn't need nor want more. And now let's hear the community's opinion. You know who man says, "You're the a-hole." Whilst you may have been upset by what she said, 1. She didn't say it to you. 2. There's clearly a reason she feels that way. You overstepped a boundary of butting in on a conversation that wasn't with you because your feelings got hurt. But whether you like it or not, she has every right to feel the way she does, and she's entitled to feeling that way. Orange Cubit says, "You're the a-hole. You may have legitimately and honestly tried, but that doesn't change the fact that how she felt was true and valid." My fiancé's, Kevin, parents, split when he was 12. His dad had been cheating with a friend of his mother's. I'm going to call his mom Lucy. Obviously, that is a horrible thing to go through, and in general, I hate cheaters. The dad got every other weekend, and Lucy got primary custody. Like with a lot of divorced parents, he was Disney dad. His house was all fun and games, and Kevin began preferring his dad and stepmom and complaining that Lucy was boring. To be fair, I don't think Lucy was a bad parent. She was doing the normal parenting stuff kids don't like, but she is a bit in love with her job and put that before Kevin. Lucy also tried to guilt him for liking his stepmom. When he was 13, Lucy began dating Mark. Right off the bat, Mark was calling Kevin spoiled and ungrateful and telling him how badly he hurt Lucy when he rejected her. This went on for a year, and finally Mark overheard Kevin talking back to Lucy and packed him up and drove him to his dad's house. To me, this is totally ducked up. Yes, he was hurtful to his mom, but he was also a child. She was an adult and should have found a way to handle it. Lucy has shown no remorse for allowing Mark to do this. They got married shortly after, and Kevin refused to go to the wedding. They've been married 15 years now, and it is clear she loves him 1,000 times more than her son. Kevin and I are getting married, and he decided he didn't want Mark there. I warned him that it was considered bad etiquette, and he might get some crap from family, but I will back him 100%. Lucy called us very upset and said we couldn't invite her without her husband of 15 years, and we are disrespectful and immature. Kevin handled it that time. She got even madder when she found out his stepmom will be there. Lucy has had family members guilt trip us over not inviting Mark. She called last night and asked to discuss it. She teared up and said how badly her ex and Kevin hurt her, and she feels Mark is the only person who truly loves her. Kevin was starting to feel bad, so I told her what it says in the title, and that she is a crap mom who chose a man in her feelings over her kid. Lucy simply said she would not be coming and hung up. Lucy's parents and her sister have been calling us since that conversation and saying I'm awful for how I talked to her, and now that we are all adults, we should see her side of it more. Well, OP doesn't know anything about her husband's and mother-in-law's relationship other than what her husband tells her, so she should let him deal with his mother and OP should mind her own business. The fact that OP steamrolled over the possibility of reconciliation when her husband was softening his heart is so gross. OP is also happy to invite a cheater and his mistress. The cheater chose a woman over his family too, so he's not much better. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Fake Mona Lisa says, "Everyone sucks here. Kevin sounds like he was a bratty kid, with behavior egged on by his father and stepmother. It's interesting that Kevin is completely okay with his father, who cheated on his mother and broke up the family, and was a Disney dad after all this time. I think that Lucy sounds like she's better off with her new family. The pain of being cheated on by your partner, only to have your child outright prefer the person who hurt you, is a lot to process and deal with. It sounds like she didn't handle things well either. And you seem melodramatic and unkind." Acrobatic Cover 2712 says, "So, to be clear, Lucy was cheated on. She was a bit in love with her job, aka she was a single parent trying to provide for her son after a devastating betrayal. Her son was a spoiled brat who hated dealing with discipline and responsibility, so off he went to live with his equally spoiled dad. Now, spoiled son doesn't want to invite his mom's husband, the one person who has supported her through the years, because he got called out on being a brat 15 years ago. Is that right? You're the a-hole. Kevin's an a-hole. Basically, everyone is an a-hole except for Lucy and Mark." I, 43 male, have 3 children, 17 female, 14 female, and 12 male. 7 years ago, my beautiful wife, Elena, passed away. I don't even know how to express this through words, but she was my life, and every day I'm devastated by the loss. Back in December of 2019, I met a woman through church. She's sweet, funny, and it was a mutual attraction. We've been seeing each other throughout 2020, and recently, I introduced her to my children. We've been taking it slow, making it clear that she is not a replacement for their mother, that they don't have to like her, but they do have to respect her. My children, to be clear, did go to therapy, but we're looking for a new one for my oldest daughter. I've always spent every single free moment of my time with my children, even when I started dating again. I made it clear that I know that they're still mourning, and that's okay. As it was, my girlfriend came over to stay for a few days. Everything went well, I could say. My younger children are fond of her. My oldest doesn't particularly like her, but we're taking it slow and not forcing anything on her. My girlfriend suffered a miscarriage several years ago and is still deeply affected by it. We had a conversation on it during one of the nights, and I guess my daughter overheard it. During dinner, we were talking, and the conversation went to what my son was almost named. And my daughter looked at my girlfriend and said, "What were you going to name your dead baby?" It was terrible. My girlfriend obviously got upset and left the room. I asked my daughter why she'd ask such a thing, and she just shrugged and said that she didn't see the big deal. I told her that it was an awful thing to say to someone, and sent her and her siblings up to their rooms, and then went to talk to my girlfriend. She was crying and inconsolable, and left to go back to her apartment. I went back and talked with my daughter. She did not show remorse and simply said that she didn't see the big deal in what she'd said. I told her that my girlfriend was upset, and that while I understood that she was still mourning, that it didn't make what she said okay. I told her that she was grounded for 2 weeks, no electronics. She got angry, but just wanted to be left alone, so I did. Next thing I know, I get a call from Elena's mother, who told me that I shouldn't have grounded my daughter because she was still adjusting to having another mother figure in her life, and that I shouldn't punish her for just being upset. She admitted that what my daughter said was wrong, but also said I was squashing my daughter's feelings and being angry for no reason. I guess I can see both sides, but on one hand, I feel like I'm betraying my daughter, and on the other, I feel like I'm betraying my girlfriend, and I need unbiased opinions. She's 17. She knows exactly what she asked. OP needs to hold his boundaries and not let her get away with this, or else she's going to walk all over every potential love interest OP brings home. She's already left a lasting impression on OP's girlfriend. It seriously doesn't get much worse than asking somebody that question. BeckDog19 says, "Not the a-hole. Your daughter is 17, old enough to realize that bringing up sensitive and painful topics is not expressing her feelings. She knows she said a cruel thing, likely with the intent to drive away your new girlfriend. She's not showing remorse because hurting her was almost certainly her actual intent." Just the Bean says, "Not the a-hole. She's clearly lying. She knows exactly what's wrong with what she was asked. These aren't little kids, they're teenagers. And what you've described sounds like a cold, calculated move designed to upset your girlfriend. She's old enough to know that eavesdropping is wrong, that questioning people about deeply personal stuff, like a miscarriage, is wrong, and sharing someone else's secret publicly is wrong." I was married for 13 years. My ex-wife and I divorced 3 years ago. I thought we were solid in our marriage and had a great and trusting relationship, yet, as I found out, wrong. She had been carrying on a relationship with another man for 3 years. It appeared her boyfriend had ended it, and to be honest, I do remember her being particularly sad and upset the weeks following the approximate time the affair had ended. It had gotten really intense to the point they were fantasizing about running away with each other. He's not with anyone else. I had to find out about their relationship in the most embarrassing way. Stumbled across email saved on a USB in a jar in our attic, and the emails were filled with their most disgusting things and descriptions of what they did to each other. In our bedroom being the worst of it all. I couldn't get over it. She seemed somewhat remorseful during the time I was readying divorce papers to be served. But after that, it seems her true face showed, and she turned into a vindictive, hateful person, bragging about her escapades with her ex-boyfriend to spite me, and saying how inferior I am to him. How happy was I to get out of that situation those years ago. Since we have 2 preschool sons and a toddler daughter we shared custody over, they're biologically mine. I would play happy parents with her, and she'd constantly make references to her love life being dry. She'd also make overtures about getting back together. I always did my best to shut that down. Until one day last week when I was helping with the kids at her place, and my ex-mother-in-law was there. I must have been particularly down that day, because she immediately commented on the grief on my face. She apologized for what she's about to say, but then says, "Women are passionate beings too, you know. And they do lust after other men, out of the blue." I looked confused, and she continues to say that she's deeply sorry that her daughter hurt me, but communication could have saved her daughter and I, and that there's a chance we could reignite our love again. Oh, brother. I get really pissed off when she says that. I tell her that any love I had for her deceitful POS daughter left when I went through what I did with her in our divorce, and that while I respect her as a person, I wouldn't wish a life with her on my worst enemy. I then ask my mother-in-law if she herself had betrayed her husband, and before she could answer, I say that I don't care, because I don't value the life story of narcissists. I then said Lord bless her husband for putting up with the 2 of them, my ex-wife and his wife. My ex-mother-in-law instantly shut up at that, and avoided me the rest of that week. Apparently, I was too harsh. My ex confronted me about my words, and how they deeply upset her mother. She said she couldn't believe she was married to someone like me. I really couldn't give 2 hoots about her opinion, but I just can't tolerate anyone talking about our divorce like that. Was I not harsh enough? Or am I the a-hole? Crustacean says, not the a-hole. The whole implication she had anyways was that it was your fault. Your fault she got with someone else behind your back, and your fault you divorced. She acted like you're just dumb. You don't deserve that, dude. Bog Lyric says, not the a-hole. Possibly mother-in-law's been fed a sanitized version of what went on. Nevertheless, she had no business suggesting that her daughter's ability to cheat at all rested on your ability to communicate. I'd say what you said was fair enough, but I just ignore them as much as possible going forward. Highwood Shady says, not the a-hole. She knew you would be offended by her little pearls of wisdom, and you were. She could have kept those little gems to herself. She didn't, and you responded honestly. She needs to keep her mouth shut, unless it pertains to the weather or to the welfare of your kids. And your ex doesn't need to fight her mother's battles. She opened her big trap and put her foot in it, not you.